Mercedes is one team that has been dissatisfied with the new technical rules that went into effect in 2022. The Silver Arrows are now struggling to find the right ground when it comes to challenging Ferrari and Red Bull, and it seems like the struggle will continue in the upcoming period as well. This is why the Brackley-based team's form will suffer yet again, as technical boss Mike Elliott had some fiery responses to the FIA's new regulations. In 2022, Mercedes introduced the revolutionary no-pod design, one in which the car differed from every other car on the grid. Unlike them, we've seen that Red Bull became famous with the double floor effect, one that propelled them to a dominant championship, the second in a row for Verstappen, and the first for Red Bull after a long pause in 2013. In order to catch up to the Austrian team, Mercedes has kept the no-pod design for 2023, but has changed a lot in the car when it comes to its DNA. Nonetheless, it seems like it won't be enough to challenge the top dogs, something that Russell and Hamilton desperately want as they head into the 2023 season. But we need to stay realistic and grasp the totality of the situation. As of now, it's very difficult to change something drastically and hope for better results, which was the main reason why Mercedes stuck with the no-pod design. On the other hand, if you didn't understand the regulations right from the start, then the design itself will need a couple of years in order to be improved, and you cannot make improvements in such a short timeline. What is certain, according to Mike Elliott, the technical director of Mercedes, is that the new regulations haven't brought racing closer and haven't done anything good for the sport. It could be said mostly because the Silver Arrows have struggled to keep up with the top dogs, but that is a topic for another video. Right now, we're going to see what Elliott had to say about the technical regulations, what it necessarily means for Mercedes, and what their views are for the upcoming season. Hint, they are pessimistic. When talking about the new regulations and their implementation from 2022 on, Mike Elliott said, "Personally, whether it's because we've not had the greatest car, I've not been a huge fan of them. If you look at what they were intended to do with improving overtaking, they've definitely allowed the cars to get closer in the corners. But I'm not sure that we've not then lost out on the straights in terms of the wake and the drag reduction you get as a result of it. So it doesn't feel to me like we've seen significantly closer racing, we've just seen a different set of rules to work with. What is more than certain is that Mercedes' drop in performance was one of the biggest in the history of the sport, and although the team hopes that they will be back fighting for wins from 2023 on, that is unlikely to be a desirable scenario for the Silver Arrows. We'll get to that later in this video, as Toto Wolff spoke about their perspectives of the team in the upcoming season, but there is one more problem that we want to shed light on before the season starts, and that's with the drivers' lineup. Hamilton hasn't renewed his contract yet, and although that's expected to be done anytime soon, it's certain that the 2023 season isn't going to be pleasant for both Mercedes drivers. Now that they'll start fresh right off the bat, the competition between both of them will be very close, with Russell showing that he is definitely the type of driver that the team can rely on when tough times come, as he'd become the third teammate to beat Hamilton in the same machinery after Rosberg in 2016 and Button in 2011. Hamilton tried to bail out on the excuse that he was used as the guinea pig and the team was testing out different settings on his car. But this claim was quickly denied by Russell, who then went on to say that both of their cars were set on the same settings and it was the drivers that chose the settings themselves. Therefore, it's safe to say that there will be some tension between them once the season starts, because Hamilton is the last driver on the grid that will gladly accept the number 2 role, and Russell doesn't seem to be backing down anytime soon. But in order for them to be competitive throughout the season, they need a reliable and fast car, one that has everything going for itself. This is something that Mercedes is unlikely to have in the upcoming season, and one reason why is Elliott's opinion on the technical regulations. True, Mercedes was one of the loudest teams in the paddock when it comes to regulation change, and while the FIA listened to what the Silver Arrows had to say, it seems like it wasn't enough, and they're going to struggle in the upcoming period yet again. When talking about the regulations from a technical perspective, in which the teams dealt with new cars like any other year, Elliott said, "I think as engineers in Formula One, generally speaking, it's just a set of regulations. It's just a set of constraints you're trying to deal with. You're trying to produce the quickest car you can, and in some ways, it doesn't matter so much to us what the outcome is. The outcome is that it's there for us as a challenge to overcome. I think what's more important is what the fans want. What is it that's required to produce really good racing, and how can we get cars that do that? Have we made a step in the right direction with these? Maybe, but I'm not certain. Furthermore, Elliott said that the first chance that Mercedes will have a legitimate shot, if nothing drastically changes in the upcoming period, is from 2026 onwards, when the new technical regulations are set to hit the Worlds. So what are the expectations for Mercedes in 2023? While they don't plan to be competitive right off the bat, something that Wolff has spoken about, they tend to have a car that can challenge the top dogs for the top spots and potentially hope upon some good luck to score massive results. When talking about the W14, Wolff said, "It's full of surprises. The last time I saw it, I thought, oh, this looks the same as the W13, but here's hoping it's not the same. I'm pretty much like you. I go into the wind tunnel and it looks like this year's car, but they tell me it's very different underneath. It's all about the airflow, the weight distribution, and the aero map. Our car fundamentally changed mid-year. We changed the concept, but we couldn't see anything on the bodywork." But what is currently happening inside Mercedes is a very difficult thing to understand because the team itself doesn't know what will happen in terms of performance from both drivers. Wolff himself said that the respect between Russell and Hamilton will definitely diminish once they're going to fight for the championship, which could yet again result in the most troublesome season for Mercedes after 2016. Even though it's hard to understand that they will be in this ballpark anytime soon, it's something that they need to take care of sooner rather than later. And do not forget what Wolff had to say about the 2023 season when talking about the car's performance and where he sees it in 2023, given the fact that they seem to have solved the porpoising issue. He said, "We believe that we solved the underlying problem of the bounce, but not all of that could have been done on the 2022 car. So we believe that it is going to be easier next year. We're changing some of the architecture and layout of the car, which should point us in the right direction. But as with these new regulations, you may discover one problem only to discover another beneath." Furthermore, Wolff said that the performance of the car isn't going to be great straight from the bat, meaning that they would have to be more reasonable with their expectations and understand that nothing much can be done at this point. This is something that Mercedes fans don't want to hear, as their team was one of the loudest on the paddock when it came to the regulation changes. Now that the FIA has also confirmed that they are not 100% sure whether the regulations are going to be enough to eradicate the porpoising issue, Mercedes has a very interesting period ahead of them. With that being said, what do you think is next for Mercedes? Do you think that they have what it takes to overcome the issues and be on top anytime soon? Let us know in the comments below.